Good morning and welcome to St. Paul's Evangelical Lutheran Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Today is Thursday, June the 22nd. Our reading for today is from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verses 12 to 17. But first I would like to give you some background about the book of Jeremiah. God called Jeremiah to be a prophet when he was only a boy. And during his lifetime, the countries in the Middle East were continually at war. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, in the end, conquered most of the lands. But the Babylonian king also destroyed 3 traditions that helped the people of Jerusalem believe God was with them. First, he destroyed the succession of kings from David's line, which God had promised David over 400 years earlier. Second, he destroyed the temple. And third, he conquered Jerusalem, and everyone thought that Jerusalem was invincible and could not be destroyed. He also sent many Israelites into exile. The people began to question, was God as faithful and powerful as they thought? During this unsettling time, God called Jeremiah. God said to Jeremiah in chapter 1, verse 10, "See, today I appoint you over nations and over kingdoms, to pluck up, to pull down, to destroy, and to overthrow, to plant and to build." I am going to read from the beginning of chapter 18, and it helps us understand our reading for today. The Lord gave another message to Jeremiah. He said, "Go to the shop where the clay pots and jars are made. I will speak to you while you are there." So I did as he told me, and found the potter working at his wheel. But the jar he was making did not turn out as he had hoped. So the potter squished the jar into a lump of clay and started again. Then God gave me this message. "O Israel, can I not do to you as this potter has done to his clay? As the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand. If I announce that a certain nation or kingdom is to be uprooted, torn down, and destroyed, but then that nation renounces its evil ways, I will not destroy it as I had planned. If I announce that I will build it up and plant a certain nation or kingdom, making it strong and great, but then that nation turns to evil and refuses to obey me, I will not bless that nation, as I said I would. Therefore, Jeremiah, go and warn all Judea and Jerusalem. Say to them, this is what the Lord says. I am planning disaster against you instead of good. So turn from your evil ways, each of you, and do what is right." Here is where our reading starts. But they replied, "Don't waste your breath. We will continue to live as we want to, following our evil desires." Then the Lord says, "Has anyone ever heard of such a thing? Even among the pagan nations, my virgin Israel has done something too terrible to understand. Does the snow ever melt high up in the mountains of Lebanon? Do the cold, flowing streams from the crags of Mount Hermon ever run dry? These can be counted on, but not my people, for they have deserted me and turned to worthless idols. They have stumbled off the ancient highways of good. They muddy them, and they walk the muddy path of sin. Therefore their land will become desolate, a monument to their stupidity. All who pass by will be astonished and shake their heads in amazement at its utter desolation. I will scatter my people before their enemies as the east wind scatters dust. And in it all their troubles, I will turn my back on them and refuse to notice their distress." There are quite a few important points to reflect on from these verses. First, the potter has the power to decide how his vessel is going to be completed, how the pot turns out. Does he allow the defects to stay? Or does he squish it or reshape it to form the vessel that he wants the final product to be? God is the potter of our universe. Do we believe that he uses his power to destroy a nation or reshape a nation to conform to his purpose? How about the church? Or us as individuals? Are you willing to yield to God as he begins to reshape you and us as individuals to fulfill his plan here on earth? Or do we remain stubborn and defiant, believing that we know what is best and we want to do it our way? What happens when we as individuals, as a church, or a nation remain stubborn? Do we harden as the clay pot does? Do we turn to stone, become immovable, unmovable? Jeremiah for 40 years served as God's spokesman. Jeremiah spoke, but no one listened. He was rejected by everyone, his family, his friends. For most of his life, he stood alone. People thought he was insane. We probably would have thought the same thing today, but God didn't. Jeremiah was obedient and faithful to God. Are there prophets today? What are God's prophets calling out to us today? Do we hear them? We may feel discouraged and angry at times for what is going on in the world around us, having no hope. But God is here. He is faithful. He is a loving God. He is here working among us. Are we willing to be reshaped for his purpose? Remember what Paul says. There are 3 things that will endure: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Go in peace. Serve the Lord in love. Have a great day.